About a month and a half ago, I was uploading for over a month straight, getting 5 views if I was lucky. Okay, I was getting between 1 and 3 views for every single video. But then I uploaded a video, why I hate the UFC, or just how I hate the UFC. This was my first video that ever did well at all. Okay, right now it's my most viewed video, and I uploaded this about 3-4 weeks ago. So yes, my channel is pretty much built on that one really negative video of me talking about why I hate the UFC. But today we're switching it up, man. We got positive vibes. Okay, I'm going to be talking about why I love the UFC overall. I got issues and I always will have issues with it, with especially the current state. But today is a positive video. Okay, let's get straight into it. Now, I know a lot of you watching die-hard MMA fans like me, I'm sure you can relate to the feeling of getting goosebumps when Bruce Buffer starts his intro, or when you're watching two fighters go to war in the octagon. But I want to find out, or I want to talk about, I ain't find out shit, I know what I'm going to talk about. I want to talk about what, keeps us coming back to more, why we're so obsessed with this. Starting off with my first reason, which is the thrill of pure competition, okay? First up, let's talk about the core of what makes the UFC so exciting. Pure competition at its heart. That is what it's all about. Two athletes locked inside a cage, fighters testing their skills, heart, determination against each other. There's something just crazy about it. And I think Dana's even said it before. Any person, like, in your soul, there's something about fighting. There's something engaging about fighting. There's something that locks you in when you're watching a fight. You know what I'm saying? It's not like other sports, I don't like this in other sports because, I've had people that don't understand MMA, but I just don't understand other sports. The only other sport I really enjoy watching or being engaged with is basketball. But when it comes to any other sport like, hockey, football, fucking baseball, anything of the sort, I just don't get it. In the UFC, it's just two people competing. There's no hiding. There's no one to rely on but them on themselves and I guess your corner. And that creates such intensity, such drama that I don't think any other sport can match. The stakes are higher. Your life itself is potentially on the line. There's a life-threatening consequences. The consequences are real. Every punch, every kick, every submission attempt could be the difference between winning or losing, and even between a long career and a short one. And the thing is, man, you can feel it as a fan while you're watching UFC, especially when it's close between two fighters that are pushing themselves to the limit. There's tension, there's entertainment, and that just builds and builds, and you're on the edge of your seat not knowing what's going to happen. And that's what keeps you hooked. We saw it this weekend with Killer Roundtree versus Alex Pereira. That wouldn't be this weekend when this comes out, I don't think. But you get my point. The third reason I have is the story behind the fighters, okay? Another huge reason why I'm obsessed with the UFC is the story behind the fighters. MMA isn't just about physical battles, okay? It's not a team sport. It's a person sport. It's the individual. It's the individual story that you get behind that makes you a fan of them. These fighters come from all different paths in life, okay? Every single one of them has a story, and if they have an interesting story, that makes the fights even more compelling, okay? You focus on the individual. You focus on the fighter themselves. You don't focus on a team that has 20 people on it. Like, you ain't keeping over 20 people on a fucking team. You know what I'm saying? So you get a genuine, I'm not going to say connection, no parasocial shit, you know what I'm saying? But you get a genuine, like, I fuck with this person, I want them to do well. You know what I mean? Take Conor, for example. Love him or hate him, his rise from collecting welfare checks in Dublin to becoming a 2-division UFC champion is nothing short of remarkable. Or how about Francis Ngannou, who literally dug sand in the mines of Cameroon, escaped to Europe and became the baddest man on the planet by knocking out Stipe Miocic? You can't get that type of feeling and respect and want for that person to succeed. You can't do that if it's a team sport. This is why it's so good how MMA is an individual sport and you focus on the person. And it's not just about the rags to riches story. Fighters like Dustin Poirier, who balance their brutal careers with charitable work, shows a different side of these people. These fighters aren't just athletes, they're people that, got a dream. And in many cases, they're just people trying to fucking do some shit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, MMA is a sport where it's a rough man sport, okay? You don't have academies that, pick prospects from the age of like 5 years old. A lot of these people had no other fucking thing they could do in life, okay? Every time I watch a UFC fight, if I know the people who are fighting, I'm not just invested in the outcome of that particular match. I'm invested in the journey of that person, how far they're gonna go. I care about the stories of a fighter if, I know that story and if it's an interesting story. And that gets me more invested into their fight to the point where it doesn't just come about, oh, I hope this fight's entertaining. It's me thinking, I hope this guy fucking wins because he's interesting. You know what I mean? And that's why MMA being focused on the person instead of being focused on the team, for me, is a fucking brilliant thing. The fourth reason that I got is how fucking unpredictable this sport is, okay? Sometimes that's fucking shit because, we get annoyed about how the fuck did that happen, okay? But most of the time, it's just fucking awesome. One of the best parts about the UFC and MMA is how unpredictable it is. You can study stats, you can break down fight footage, you can make predictions all day long, as I do myself. But at the end of the day, literally anything can happen. It's a tale as old as time, the underdog, Matt Serra defeating GSP, or fucking Sean Strickland fucking 50-45 in Izzy. These are things that we don't see coming. These are the kind of moments that makes the UFC worth watching, where even if, we're like, okay, easy fight for this guy. Oh shit, they just got knocked out. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter how much hype there is about a fighter, how dominant they've been, or how big of an underdog their opponent is. Literally one kick, one punch, one submission can change anything. That level of unpredictability is something you just don't get in other sports. Okay, or at least not as common. There's no game clock to run out with kind of when you got a crowd cheering. Okay, in the UFC, they do not have to put on a show, even if they're lacking in certain departments. You know what I'm saying? That sounds like I'm talking about some weird sexual shit, but I ain't. But from fighters' walkouts to, fucking John Anik being the go-away commentator that he is, you're not just watching a fight, man. You're part of the experience, you're part of a story. And when that knockout or submission happens, man, when the crowd goes crazy, you can't replicate that shit, okay? And how I was just talking about, fucking, what's it called, stories and that. That's my next reason, the stories, the build up of these fights, man. When we got people like Alex Pereira, who rises up fighting the dominant champ that was Izzy Adesanya, and then Pereira wins, loses, and then guess what? This guy moves up to like heavyweight and becomes the most dominant fucking champ we've got. And then even some of the fucking stories that hurt us inside, like Tony's fall off, bro, like it or not, that shit gets you paying attention. That shit gets you caring. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, man. Conclusion. I'm always gonna have issues with the UFC, especially currently. But I still love this shit. Okay, I'll watch it for a fucking reason. I've been watching it for a while for a fucking reason. Fucking big up the UFC, but fix some of your shit. And anyway, man, I'm out. Much love. Subscribe, like, do all that. In a bit. Fuck my rab.